At my 30th birthday dinner, they gave me a trophy that read Lifetime Achievement in Failure. My brother toasted, to the family disappointment who somehow survived another year. My mother laughed, God gave us 3 children, but only 2 turned out right. Even my best friend joined in. I sat there in a new suit, smiling while they clapped. When I quietly left, no one followed. 2 years later, I bought their house and evicted them. I always hated my birthday, but this year was supposed to be different. My family insisted, no, begged, to throw me a celebration. You deserve it, my sister Marie said, flashing her perfect white smile over Sunday brunch 2 weeks before. My mom even bought me a new navy blue suit for the occasion, a slim-fit number that hugged my shoulders just right. For once, I dared to believe maybe they really wanted to celebrate me. I arrived at Vita Bella, the nicest Italian restaurant in town, feeling almost proud. My tie was a deep burgundy, my hair neatly combed, shoes polished to a mirror shine. I paused outside the entrance, taking one last deep breath of the cool spring air before stepping in. The hostess smiled too brightly when she saw me. This way, Mr. Evans. As she led me through the maze of tables, I could already hear the cheers. My heart lifted until I actually saw them. A long table stretched across the private room, covered in gold balloons and confetti. At the head was a massive, cartoonish banner. 30 years of mediocrity. My footsteps faltered. There they all were, my parents, siblings, cousins, even my childhood best friend Mark, laughing hysterically, raising glasses, some of them already recording on their phones. Before I could process it, my brother Ethan clinked a fork against his wine glass, standing up with a smug grin. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the roast of our very own cautionary tale, Liam Evans. Everyone erupted into hoots and whistles. I forced a stiff smile as I sat at the only open seat right in the center, of course, like the guest of honor at my own execution. Ethan was just warming up. He held up a giant faux award, a gold-painted toilet seat mounted on a wooden plaque. The inscription read, Lifetime Achievement in Failure. I chuckled weakly along with the others, even as my stomach twisted into knots. Where do we even begin? Ethan continued, pacing theatrically. From his incredible ability to bomb every job interview, to the way he heroically survived his girlfriend leaving him, probably because she finally got glasses. Another wave of laughter crashed over me. Someone banged the table so hard a glass toppled over. Marie stood next, pretending to wipe a tear from her eye. Remember when Liam said he was gonna be an entrepreneur, she said, voice trembling with fake emotion. Such dreams, such optimism, until reality hit him like his student loan bills. Cameras flashed. My father, red-faced with wine, actually wheezed from laughing too hard. And let's not forget, my mother chimed in, that time Liam tried to fix the washing machine and flooded the whole basement. A regular handyman, ladies and gentlemen. She dabbed at her eyes with a napkin, overcome with mirth. I sat frozen, my smile a stiff mask glued to my face. I could feel my ears burning, the back of my neck prickling with sweat. My fists clenched under the tablecloth. I could feel my new suit stretching too tightly across my chest as my breathing quickened. Every jab, every cruel punchline, sank a little deeper under my skin. Even Mark, my best friend since middle school, joined in, mimicking my nervous habit of tapping my pen during meetings. The human woodpecker, he declared, drawing howls of laughter. I caught my reflection in the window behind them, the navy blue suit, the too eager grin, the hopeful fool. They were eating me alive. And I realized then, they didn't come to celebrate me. They came to bury me. The final blow came when they handed me a cake of vanilla, my least favorite, with "Better luck next life" scrawled in red icing. As I blew out the candles, everyone shouted, "Make a wish." I smiled, a smile so wide and brittle it felt like glass cracking under pressure. I made a wish all right. I wished they'd regret ever underestimating me. The morning after the party, I woke up with a headache that had nothing to do with alcohol. I stared at the ceiling of my one-bedroom apartment, still fully dressed in that damn navy blue suit, now wrinkled and smeared with a spot of icing I hadn't noticed before. My phone buzzed with messages I didn't want to read. Marie, hope you had fun. We were dying laughing. Best roast ever. Mark, don't be mad, man. It was just a joke. That's what real friends do. Mom, you're too sensitive. If you can't laugh at yourself, what can you do? I didn't reply. I sat up slowly, stripped off the suit, and tossed it in the corner like shedding old skin. At noon, the calls started. My brother. My sister. Even Dad. One by one, they left messages that sounded like apologies if you didn't listen too closely. Ethan, come on, bro. You've gotta admit, it was pretty funny. Mom again, you always take things so seriously. We're family. We tease because we love. Dad, don't be dramatic, son. You know we meant well. You've gotta toughen up in this world. Each word twisted the knife deeper. They didn't mean well. They meant control. They meant mockery masked as love, sarcasm disguised as support. That night, I went through every text and every voicemail. Not because I wanted to, but because I needed the reminder. I screenshotted them. Saved them in a folder on my desktop titled, simply, Fuel. The worst part wasn't their cruelty. It was their certainty that I would take it again. That I would laugh it off like always. That I would show up for the next dinner, birthday, or barbecue with the same tired grin and "it's fine, I know you didn't mean it" shrug. That's when something shifted inside me. They were right about one thing: I had been soft. I had let them walk over me my entire life. I let their words shape who I thought I was. I laughed when they mocked me. I apologized when they embarrassed me. I minimized my goals because they rolled their eyes when I talked about them. But not anymore. Not after that night. Something new took root in me. Not rage. Not bitterness. Focus. I started that very evening. I opened a blank document. At the top, I wrote, Operation Rewrite. I listed everything I'd ever wanted to do but never dared because they'd sneer. The business idea I shelved 2 years ago. The certification course I abandoned halfway. The loan I never applied for because my dad said I'd just waste it. And then I wrote one final item. Disappear. Succeed. Return when they're desperate. It wasn't revenge yet. But it would be. They had thrown me into the fire expecting me to melt. I would walk out forged. The first step was silence. No dramatic exit. No emotional confrontation. Just absence. I stopped answering their calls. Muted the family group chat. Blocked Ethan, Marie, and even Mark across every platform. The more they reached out, the quieter I became. Marie finally texted, "Are you ghosting us?" Seriously? I didn't answer. I took 2 weeks off from my job at the logistics firm. I told them it was a mental health break. In truth, I was dissolving my entire life. I closed every social media account. Scrubbed my online presence. Changed my phone number. Sold my car. Terminated my lease. No tearful goodbyes to neighbors. I was done with everyone who laughed at me in that room. Every face I saw that night lit by candlelight and cruelty became a ghost. And with every step, I felt lighter. I moved to a new city under the guise of a job transfer, a city where no one knew my name or my story. I rented a small apartment in a high-rise downtown, 1 bedroom, floor-to-ceiling windows, and the kind of silence I hadn't heard in years. I paid 3 months up front with the money I'd been quietly saving for something my family always mocked. You? Start a business? Ethan once laughed so hard he choked on his beer. You can't even sell yourself in interviews. But I had an idea. A good one. And now, no one could laugh me out of it. It was a digital product business, custom design templates for small businesses, startups, and influencers. Nothing sexy, nothing flashy, but scalable. And I knew the market better than I let on. I started building at night. Research during the day, designs at 2 a.m., fueled by instant noodles and rage. I lived like a monk. No distractions. No dating apps. No drinks after work. Just progress. Within 6 months, I'd launched the first version of the site. It was clunky, but it worked. 12 customers in the first week. 47 by the third. I watched the numbers grow like saplings breaking through concrete. Every order, every dollar, every 5-star review, a quiet rebellion against everyone who said I couldn't. By the end of year 1, I had made more than I ever did at the firm. I quit. No resignation speech. No cake or card. Just a quiet walk out of the building and into the rest of my life. I rebranded the business. Gave it a clean, sharp identity with 0 traces of me. No name. No photos. I was a ghost in the machine. Clients never saw me, they saw results. Year 2 brought an assistant. A small team. Outsourced designers. Brand partnerships. Affiliate income. Word of mouth exploded. Suddenly, the company I built in silence was doing 6 figures quarterly. And all the while, my family didn't even know where I lived. Marie posted about her latest brunches. Ethan bragged about a new opportunity every 3 months, never the same one twice. Mom posted prayer memes about ungrateful children. I didn't miss them. I missed who I used to wish they were. What they didn't know, couldn't have guessed, was that while they forgot me, I had not forgotten them. Not the cake. Not the banner. Not the clinking glasses when they laughed at my life. I hadn't just vanished. I had been reborn. And soon, they'd meet the new me, not at a reunion, not at a birthday. At the negotiation table. By the start of year 3, the business had evolved from a scrappy project into something terrifyingly efficient. We weren't just selling templates anymore. We were selling systems. Scalable, plug-and-play identities for small businesses, logos, pitch decks, brand voice guides, everything. The kind of stuff consultants charge 10 grand for. We did it faster and better for a third of the price. My assistant, Sasha, was a genius with automation. I hired her after she cold pitched me a way to reduce our email load by 70%. Within 2 months, she was managing the entire back end, freeing me to think bigger. I upgraded my apartment to a penthouse, not flashy, just clean and high. Warm lighting. Hardwood floors. Minimalist furniture. The kind of place people imagine when they picture success. Every morning, I made coffee barefoot in silence, looking out over a city that had no idea who I used to be. I went to the gym. I took cooking classes. I finally bought the leather jacket I used to try on and put back because someone once said, "It looks like you're trying too hard." I was trying. And it worked. I never posted about any of it. Let them think I was still failing somewhere, sulking in a rented room with my broken dreams and discount cake. I wanted them to believe that. The longer they believed I was nothing, the more power I gained. Then, one Thursday evening, it happened. A strange message pinged my old email, the one I kept open just in case. Subject, Liam? Please tell me this is still you. It was from Marie. I hovered over it for a long moment before clicking. I don't know where you went or what happened, but we really need to talk. It's about Mom and Dad, and the house. Ah. There it was. I read it twice. Once with my heart, then again with strategy. She went on to say Dad had taken a risk with some bad investments. Mom's health was declining. Ethan had lost his job again. The house, the same one they raised me in, mocked me in, was at risk of foreclosure. And they had a buyer interested, but they wanted to find a friendly option first. Friendly. I sat back in my chair, sipping lukewarm espresso, smiling like I had just watched the final scene of a very long play. They didn't know who I was anymore. Which meant they were about to walk right into the lion's den. I forwarded the email to Sasha. Get me a clean LLC. One they won't trace. Let's buy their debt. She replied instantly. Name? I typed it without hesitation. Mediocre Ventures. Poetic justice in every letter. The deal was smoother than I expected. Through Mediocre Ventures LLC registered in a different state, with a trust lawyer fronting as the lead, I purchased their mortgage debt within 10 days. They were 3 months behind, with no clear path out. The bank was eager to offload the liability. We got it for pennies. Sasha handled everything. They're about a step away from mailing in the house keys, she told me over lunch. They think they're applying for a bailout. They don't know it's you sitting across the table. Perfect. I scheduled the meeting for a Tuesday. Neutral ground, a downtown office suite with frosted glass and just enough luxury to be intimidating. I requested they arrive early. I made them wait 26 minutes. When I finally walked in, they were all there, my parents, Ethan, Marie, even Mark for some reason. Their faces told the whole story before anyone said a word. Mom looked smaller than I remembered, pale beneath her makeup. Dad sat stiffly in a cheap suit that didn't hide the sweat soaking through his collar. Marie was fidgeting with her wedding ring, while Ethan scrolled his phone like none of it mattered. Only Mark met my eyes. And when he did, his expression changed first. Confusion. Then realization. Liam, he murmured, half standing. Marie turned. Her jaw literally dropped. No way. I set my briefcase down on the table, slowly. Deliberately. Hello, everyone. Silence. Mom whispered, "You look different." "I am," I said. "Have a seat." Dad puffed up. "What kind of stunt is this? Are you the buyer?" I didn't answer. Instead, I pulled out a sleek white folder and slid it across the table. Here's the offer. You sell the house effective immediately for well under market value. Or, your mortgage holder forecloses in 30 days. Ethan scoffed. Wait, what? Who do you think you are? I'm the guy who owns your debt, I said quietly. And this? This is me giving you a merciful exit. Mark sat back, blinking. Holy hell. Mom's eyes welled. Liam, please, don't do this. Do what? I asked. Buy property? Offer solutions? Succeed? This is revenge, she snapped. No. This is closure, I said, flatly. Revenge would have been letting the bank take everything and sending a group text saying, should have picked a better son. Marie tried to recover. We didn't mean to hurt you. But you did, I cut in. And you meant every word of it when you said them. Dad slammed the table. We're your family. You made that banner, I replied. Remember? 30 years of mediocrity. So now mediocrity owns your house. Marie started crying. Mark put a hand over his mouth. Ethan just stared at the folder like it was written in a foreign language. You have 72 hours to sign, I said, standing. Or we proceed with legal recourse. Your choice. As I walked to the door, Mom stood up. You're not this cruel. I turned to face her, dead calm. No. The man you humiliated at that dinner? He wasn't cruel. He was kind. Forgiving. And you laughed until he disappeared. Liam. But I was already gone. They signed, of course. By the second day, Marie sent a message through the lawyer, please ask if Liam will let us by some time. We need to make arrangements. Sasha, with her usual grace, replied, the owner has already been generous. They moved out 3 days before the deadline, leaving behind only silence and dust. I didn't go to the house right away. I wanted the walls to breathe them out first. Let the air forget their voices. Let the echo of mockery and cruelty fade before I stepped back in. When I finally did, it was dusk. The living room looked smaller than I remembered. The couch, gone. The curtains, drawn tight. But the ghosts were still there, faint and bitter. The spot where they'd all laughed, wine glasses clinking. The corner where I stood, holding that toilet seat trophy like a joke made of shame. Now it was mine. Not just the house. The story. I walked from room to room, letting the past flicker and fade like static. In the kitchen, I found a note taped to the fridge. We're sorry. Please don't do anything permanent. Mom. I folded it and slid it into my wallet. Not as a keepsake. As a receipt. 2 weeks later, we listed the property under a different LLC. Within days, offers came flooding in. But I wasn't interested in selling, not yet. First, I had one last chapter to write. I hosted a dinner. Yes. A dinner. Same address. Same time of year. But this time, I sent the invitations. Handwritten. Elegant cardstock with black ink. Liam Evans invites you to a private celebration. They showed up, all of them. Curiosity outweighed shame. That's the thing about people like them. They can't resist a stage, even when it's burning. Ethan arrived first, sunglasses on indoors, hands in pockets. Marie came with her husband, overdressed. Mark brought a bottle of wine, too embarrassed to make eye contact. Mom wore a stiff smile. Dad didn't speak at all. The table was set for 6. Same long oak table they'd once used to tear me apart. Only this time, it was candlelit. Polished. Perfect. I wore the same navy suit, tailored now, sharper. Fit like armor. When they were all seated, I poured the wine myself. Then, I stood. No speeches tonight, I said. No roasts. Just one message. They stared, uneasy. I forgave you the moment you laughed, I said, calmly. Because I knew one day, you'd be exactly where you are now, and I'd be exactly here. Standing. No one spoke. I invited you not out of cruelty, I continued. But because I wanted you to see the view from the other side. The one you said I'd never reach. I raised my glass. To mediocrity. And drank. They didn't know whether to clap or cry. So they just sat there. Swallowing what they served me years ago. They left in silence. One by one, like mourners at a funeral they couldn't name. No one thanked me for the dinner. No one commented on the meal, the view, the candlelight. Even Mark, who tried for a week we should catch up, couldn't look me in the eye. They knew. Every one of them. And I had said nothing cruel. Nothing loud. Just truth. The next morning, the transfer closed. The house, my house, officially changed ownership again. I sold it to a non-profit group that renovated historic homes into transitional housing for women leaving abusive situations. A quiet act. No PR announcement. No Instagram reel. Just a deed, signed and delivered. That house, filled with years of ridicule and shame, would now shelter strength and rebuilding. The contrast was delicious. A month later, I heard through a mutual acquaintance that Mom and Dad were staying in Marie's spare room. Ethan had taken a night shift security job. Mark stopped posting motivational memes and went quiet online. No one mentioned the dinner. But I knew they thought about it. Because I didn't scream. I didn't destroy. I didn't become what they were. I became something colder. Stronger. Focused. I became the lesson they thought they were teaching me when they mocked me into silence. One night, I received an email from Marie. I know you don't want to hear from me. But I just want you to know. I think about that dinner every day. The one we threw for you. I don't even know if we realized how cruel we were being. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I just want to say I'm sorry. I didn't reply. Forgiveness wasn't something I owed her. Not anymore. I didn't need her apology to move on. I didn't need their guilt. The power had shifted long before that dinner. It shifted the moment I walked away without shouting. The moment I chose silence over begging. The moment I let them believe they'd won. Because people like them, they always expect the explosion. They never see the cold fire. Months passed. The business kept growing. I partnered with a design school to offer scholarships. I started mentoring young entrepreneurs who had been laughed at, dismissed, underestimated. I didn't talk about my past. I didn't need to. But sometimes, late at night, I'd pull out the photo of that roast dinner. Someone had texted it to me, long ago. There I was, standing awkwardly in a wrinkled navy suit, holding that toilet seat trophy while everyone around me laughed. I kept that photo in a folder called Day Zero. Not as a wound. As a warning. Of who I had been. Of what I would never be again. And as I sat there, in a penthouse I owned, in a city they'd never understand, I felt nothing for them. Not hate. Not grief. Just peace. Because in the end, I hadn't ruined them. I simply stepped out of the room while they set the fire. And when they choked on the smoke, I never handed them water.